Just because you're vegan doesn't mean you can't be a little upscale every once in a while.
Yes.
I love it.
Hi, I'm NISHA.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Dani.
And I'm Hannah. And this is
The Vegan View.
Cheers! Today we have executive chef and owner of Citizen Mustard, Megan Morlow.
Cheers.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
So Megan, you own Citizen Mustard, and me and Hannah have actually been to it. It is an incredible event, not like nothing I've ever seen before. It is like very upscale, fine dining, and I've never seen that done with vegan food before. It was just so interesting to see vegan food taken to that place.
Thank you very much. It's really awesome to hear.
Yeah. So what do you have for us today? She's so sweet. She got us a little treat.
She came with
So
a whole, like, multiple boxes worth of treats for us.
These champagne flutes. That'd be fancy.
We have a Meyer lemon cheesecake with
lemon.
a rosemary shortbread cookie crust. It has candied citrus on top of it and an edible flower.
I feel like this is like Italy on a plate, like herbs and lemons and all
Should
of
we
it.
do
I
a
wish
color
you guys
scheme?
could
Bite
smell
shot?
it.
It smells so good.
I was saying I want a perfume that smells like this
Yeah.
cheesecake. It
Yeah,
smells so
it's like
good.
rosemary, lemon, just sweet, creamy smelling. I think
All right, because that's a scent.
Do you need me to taste test it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh my god. Oh, my mouth is
You guys are
watering.
gonna die. It's so good. It's not
Holy
overly
moly.
sweet.
Wow.
There's
It like
so
makes
many
me
different
emotional.
Yeah.
When I
Oh my god, there's so
It's
many
so
flavors
good.
happening.
Best days of Hannah's life.
try. Seriously.
Children being born, wedding, and eating this cheesecake.
It's up there.
Oh my gosh. I love the rosemary with the lemon. That's so good.
It's different, right?
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Yeah.
What's the base of the shortbread?
It's that would be the side that I call the indulgence side.
Okay.
So I try to find a balance in life. So you want to indulge, but you also want like the healthier fats, things like that. So you get the cashews, the healthier side of things. The shortbread cookie crust is straight up like
Just butter.
butter, flour, sugar.
Those are my favorite things in life, honestly.
Good.
I like my plates to be metaphors for life. It
Yeah.
makes sense.
Oh, are we like eating slow?
And she's just like done.
This is so good.
Oh man.
So I'm so curious to learn how you came to be doing this and how you learned to be such a good chef.
Oh, thank
Can you
you.
tell us about your story a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually used to work in the music industry. I'm from Montana. We'll back up there. I'm from Montana. So it's like meat country, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like when I went vegan, my parents were like, I don't know what to cook for you. My mom made me a black bean soup, and as I'm eating it, I'm like, this is so good. And she's like, I'm like, what's in it? She's naming off all these things. She's like, and beef broth. And I'm like, but mom, and she's like, it's just the broth. And I was like, so
cute, yeah.
But now my parents are actually both vegan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it because of the cheesecake?
Definitely.
Honestly, I think it is.
Heard anyone.
Yeah.
So then you grew up in Montana.
I grew up in Montana, and then I moved to Vancouver, British Columbia to study music business.
Okay.
My visa expired, and I basically got kicked out of the country. And they sent me a letter like 5 days before my visa expired to say you have basically 5 days to leave the country, or special forces will be taken against you. So I was literally like packing boxes, and I was like, "Mom, I'm moving to Los Angeles," and they're like, "What do you? What you don't know anybody?" And so I was like, "Well, that's where I got to go if I want to be in music." So I came down here. I got a job at a record label. I moved up to product management, and it's a stressful industry working in the music industry.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really fun, but it is very stressful. I found that at the end of the day, I was going home and cooking to relieve my stress, even after like a long, stressful day. And I was like, if I could just do this for a living, maybe my life wouldn't be so stressful.
Oh, story of my life.
So it was one of those like fake it till you become it, fake it till you make it kind of things. And I just started telling people I was a chef. And then I got hired, and I got some really incredible clients, and it just snowballed from there.
Wow.
So all of my clientele has been pretty much high-end, which is why I'm kind of doing what I'm doing.
Right.
What I've been able to do in their homes with fine dining, I want to bring that to a larger audience and help elevate plant-based food to showcase that it can be more than just your salad or even your fake chicken fried sandwich, which, don't get me wrong, like that.
Pretty good.
Yeah, like I'll eat one of those every day. But like sometimes you want to indulge and you want to have, like want to take care of yourself in a different
Real
way.
food.
Yeah.
Not
You know?
processed. Yeah.
It's a
Exactly.
really experience when you start looking at food in this way, like very enjoyable and kind of like an art.
Yeah.
So, what's your process for creating a recipe?
Yeah, how do you approach your menu and
Interesting.
Like you're looking at a carrot, then what?
A lot of things.
That's literally me in my kitchen. I'm like, I don't know what to do with it.
what do I do with you?
Oh man, that's a good
What do
question.
you become?
Like I want all the details.
Okay, so my process is I'll think like, okay, for this cheesecake, for example, I'll think I want to do a cheesecake, and then I will think of like an herb, and then I'll think about how to pair with that herb.
Okay,
So
okay.
I will Google image search, and I'll type in cheesecake, and I'll start to see a bunch of cheesecakes. I won't even know what they are, but I'll just see them.
Visually, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you know how to plate it.
Exactly.
And make it.
So like even if I hadn't thought of like an herb for this, like or rosemary in general, if I had seen a cheesecake with specks in the crust, my mind would have thought of something. So I would have been like, oh, thyme, basil, you know, something like that, and just ran with it. It's a lot of imagery for me. So I
Oh,
do
that's
a
really
lot of
interesting.
image searching.
I
yeah.
think that's interesting because we do really like eat with your eyes.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's why Instagram food.
Yeah.
blogs
And it's interesting that you say the thing that you start with herbs because I feel like that's what makes your dishes so special
Oh,
is
thank
that
you.
like the herbs that you choose to put in the dish, they pair so well with
Yeah.
like everything
you.
else. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
you.
feel like herbs are always a thing that I like forget about when
Me
I'm
too,
cooking.
yeah.
I'm like I see Nicole use them sometimes, and I'm like, oh, I would have never thought to
Yeah.
use that, you know?
Yeah.
It's funny, when I first started cooking, I didn't understand my palate. Actually, my sous chef who works with me now, I worked with him as his sous chef, and he actually helped me understand my palate. And now he's working with me as Citizen Mustard, and it's really awesome. But I didn't understand it, so I would just like take bottles of herbs and just like, and I was
Kinda
just,
what I did, too.
I mean,
You
it was
just
just
try
you just
everything.
try, and then and then you like get to
Then
a
you
point
can pick out
where,
like what flavor comes from what.
and you start to pull back, right? So like it becomes more of a simplicity sort of thing. So you start with a lot and then you pull away. But once you actually are cooking for a living, you start with less and then you add more because you can't actually take away
can't
from
take
other
it
people.
out. Yeah. Whereas I know a lot of people when I cook a lot of Indian food, and they're like, "What does that taste like? How does that taste like that?" It's definitely getting to know what individual spices make up that flavor that gives that dish its specific taste.
Yeah, I think that, so if you start with like a blank canvas, like if I started with just a crust and the cheesecake filling, and I didn't add salt yet, or any acid, or a lot of sweetness, or herbs, anything like that, I just started with like the main components, and then you add them a little at a time, and you taste it. You taste every time you add something, and you suddenly you start to understand like, okay, that was the sugar that did that to my tongue or my mouth. And then, okay, the acid is giving me like this kick in the back. The salt, like now the salt is bringing it all together, and I can taste it all. I think that's how you kind of develop your palate, is just tasting a little bit every time you add something.
That's exactly what
Such
you
a
do.
good tip.
Teaching people how to make Indian food.
Really?
You like toast a little bit more of this, and then you add like cumin seeds, and you see what like the olive oil toasting it like changes the taste.
Totally.
It's
yeah.
so similar.
Yeah. Taste as you go.
Yeah.
Always.
Have you noticed an increase for the demand of plant-based cuisine, or as a chef?
Yeah, I think in LA in general. I like there's some different placement companies that I work with for private chefing services, and they're seeing an increase in demand, which is really cool to see. You know, and some of the people aren't necessarily plant-based, but they want to eat healthier.
Yeah.
And so they're open. I think the openness is so awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm seeing that with Citizen Mustard, that people are like, I want to come try it. Like, I'm open to it, you know? Whereas before it was like, oh my God, vegan food, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what a special place for people to come and try plant-based cuisine for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome if
I
this was
mean,
their first
yeah.
experience.
The bar's so
That's
high.
the bar so high.
We definitely want to create something that's memorable. I think that, you know, you get to choose where you spend your money, and I think that if you're choosing a place where you can create a memory at the same time, that's really important. I mean, you could go to Chipotle, get your sofritas bowl, and it might only be memorable if like you find a $5 bill on the ground or like you fall in love with the person behind you. But like this is like, you know, you're gonna get a memory and you're gonna get an experience, and I love bringing that to people.
It's true.
And I
so cool.
feel like this is exactly what's missing in the vegan community right now is this level of dining experience. I know that's something my husband and I have missed since going vegan. We're like, there's only one restaurant in our area that's, you know, more of a fine dining experience. There's not a lot of options. So something like this, I think, is going to be really important for the movement, so people have that option, you know, for special occasions and stuff.
Dinners, dates. Yeah, thank you. Like, I think like 80% of the people that come to the Citizen Mustard dinner are actually not vegan.
Oh.
They're people that want like a dining experience. And it's so cool to have them walk away and be like, I'm the perfect amount of like full. I don't feel gross.
Yeah.
And the next day hear from them again and they're like, I don't need to sleep all day. But they still had 9 courses and like all kinds of wine, you know?
Yeah, it was crazy because I felt similarly. It was not so big and decadent and huge. It was like satisfying to taste. So it was really satisfying to have because there's just so many different flavors, so many different kinds of spices and like tastes and foods. It was such a cool experience.
Thank you.
I feel like we keep talking about the dinners, but can you tell us like a little bit more of what they are and where they are and how you do them?
Yeah, for sure. So we change locations every month. And so far we've been having them in like these really nice, elegant homes. So a lot of pop-up restaurants happen maybe like in a warehouse or in a other restaurant or whatever, but I really wanted to bring that intimate dining experience to people. So we get these really nice homes, and we have a complimentary valet service. Complimentary valet service. I've only had a couple of sips, I promise. And we do a cocktail hour with past hors d'oeuvres. It's usually 2 hors d'oeuvres, and then we do 7 courses, sit-down courses after that, all with a wine paired every other dish. So total with the hors d'oeuvres, it becomes 9 courses. And then we do, and tax, gratuity are all included in that, and we do a donation to charity. So we have a selected charity for the month, and we donate part of the proceeds to charity.
That's so cool.
Really
Yeah.
So right now it's just kind of in the LA area, right?
Yeah, we've done a lot of them in like central LA so far. We're looking at maybe the Valley for a couple of the ones coming up, but yeah, we change locations each month and we change the menu each month.
It's because your whole thing is that you like to make it a little bit elevated, a little bit extra special. So what are some things that people can do at home in their everyday cooking routines in their kitchens that can kind of spice up the food that they're already making?
I think getting a couple new herbs, honestly, just like put them in your kitchen and try them. So you might make, for like a chili, for example, you might make a chili like you normally would, and you've done it your whole life this way. But then you get that one herb, like that dried pasilla pepper, or like, you know, like a poblano, but it's dried, and you know, maybe you want to put that in your chili, or you know, just different herbs and spices I think are really important. And just not being afraid to try new things. I think that it's so easy to get comfortable and make the same thing over and over and over, that even if you want to make that same thing over and over and over, just change it one time. And then you're like, oh, I have this whole new chili, and all I did was add like toasted cumin seeds.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
No, I
that's
love
a
that.
great tip.
It's taking stuff you already love and making it better.
Yeah.
Buying new stuff.
And not totally overhauling it, but just taking one step over here, one step over there, but it's the same thing that you're comfortable with.
That's cool. I feel like I could definitely do that.
Yeah.
I don't use any of those cool things.
The way I do it is I try it when I go to the farmer's market or the grocery store. Once a week I try to pick up at least one kind of fresh herb, and I go by just whatever looks fresh. And it's really cool too, because I think we think that only vegetables and fruits are healthy, but actually, and then sort of herbs are only a garnish, but they have a ton of nutrients as well. They're leafy
Absolutely.
greens, so it's always just like a little extra kick of nutrition and flavor. Yeah.
And even with dried herbs, I get a lot of people being like, oh, they're so expensive for like this tiny bottle is $4. And I'm like, but that lasts you for
A
so
long
long.
time.
You're never using like a tablespoon of herbs unless you're making huge quantities of food.
Yeah, unless you're in my kitchen.
I was gonna say,
Unless you're a personal chef.
Do you recommend like fresh herbs or dry herbs, or do you use like a combination of both?
I use a combination of both. I use mostly fresh herbs, but there are like oregano I actually use dried, and I always use it dry. I don't know why, but I think like I just don't love how it tastes fresh, which is really
There's
weird.
certain
very
things
strong.
When
Yeah.
they're fresh, taste don't taste as good when they're dried.
Yeah.
They have
So like
different
Basil, for example.
yes, basil. Yeah, I always do that fresh.
fresh basil.
Yeah. So I use a mixture of both. Mostly fresh though,
Okay.
for sure.
And you can grow your own herbs easily.
And dry them easily too.
Says the plant lady.
So easy.
So many
some of
basil
us.
plants.
No,
Every
but
time
you
I'm
can
like, I'll
buy-
just get a basil plant.
No, but
I
like
kill
not
it
the
every time.
basil plant, but you can buy like stuff online that literally you just set it and forget it, and it'll grow your own herbs. You don't have to like do your little plant magic like I do. You don't have to buy your like
Is
organic
this how you
soil.
magically plant? You're like,
Yeah, this is all I do all day.
Talk to them.
That's why I live in a jungle. So where can our viewers find you and follow you and find out more about your dinners?
So they can go to citizenmustard.com, and we have an invite link where you can sign up for an invitation. There's a waiting list that's growing, so you get put on a waiting list, and when a seat opens up, we let you know that there's a ticket and a seat available. You can also follow us on social media at citizenmustard.com or at citizenmustard.
Cool.
We'll link
put all those
everything
links.
Cool.
down below.
Thank you so much for coming, and
Thank
thank you for all
you.
these treats.
Yes,
You
thank
spoiled
you.
us.
Thanks for
Good.
having me, you guys. This was super
So
fun.
good.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We will put all of our links in the description box below, and we will see you next Monday. Bye.